Alright, which characters in Mario Strikers Battle League are the best without using any gear? Why is studying no gear important? Well, there may be some tournament in the future that is no gear, or there may be some kind of in-person event, such as a Smash tournament where Mario Strikers exists as a side event, or maybe you just want to play on the couch with your friends and you don't want to deal with all the gear options because then you have to switch it for everyone or whatever. No gear is an important thing to look at. There are a couple things that you have to consider that I will be going into as I rank every character, but I also will say right off the bat that I'm not going to be considering death lobs in this analysis, so the passing stat is going to be judged based on whether or not it's a good passing stat, not whether or not they can use the death lob. First off, we have Mario, and personally, I'm going to put Mario in the S tier, just because 12 speed is really good, as well as the fact that he's one of the only characters in this entire cast that can score from the midfield. So he has 12 speed, and he's also good at scoring with a charge shot, so he's going to be an S tier. He is just a great all-around character. You can pretty much slap him on any team. He's going to be good for you. Then you have Luigi. Luigi is going to go into A tier simply for being not as good as Mario. Having 7 technique is great, and having 14 passing is also good, but he's also slightly slower than Mario and just can't score as consistently, especially after the patch with how they changed Boom Boom. So Luigi is still a good player to have. He's a very nice all-arounder, probably the best character for all-around gameplay, but he just doesn't cut it in terms of being an S tier character. Now we have Bowser, who in this case is not an S tier character. He does still have his tackle, so he's not going to be in B tier, but he will be dropping into A tier for a very important reason, and that is that strength is a completely useless stat in no gear mode. Every single character can hit every single character for full damage and get a knockdown. So even if this Bowser with 17 strength is hit by this Peach with 9 strength, it's still going to get knocked over because 17 is only 8 more than 9. And that's of course with a partially charged tackle, which like I've said previously is going to be the majority of your tackles anyway. So I don't think that strength is useful at all. You may get some use out of if you hit a tackle, you are going to have him stunned for longer, but it's just not nearly as important as stats like speed or passing or shooting. So unfortunately, Bowser has too many points in strength in no gear mode, so he just can't make it into S tier, but he's still pretty good as a defender. Maybe you want to put him in the back line because he can still have a mean tackle. Then we have Peach, and you will notice that any speedy character in this lineup will be an S tier character. Speed is the most important stat in no gear mode because it is going to let you outrun everybody. And since every character can knock down every character, having speed is much more important because it'll let you get around the field more. It'll let you stop interceptions. It'll let you get in position for rebounds. It just does everything. So speed, and especially since she also has technique. You know, she has speed and technique, so when she has the ball, she's going to be outrunning even more people on the defense. Peach will also be in the S tier. Now let's talk about Rosalina, who unlike Mario, I think is going to be in A tier. Sort of for the same reason that Bowser is in here. Mario has more points into speed, which is the most important stat here. And also Rosalina has 14 strength, which is pretty much completely wasted. Mario and Rosalina both have the same shooting ability, but Rosalina is not going to be as effective as Mario because it'll take her longer to get in position, and she's not as strong on defense because she's 3 points slower in speed. Honestly, if you want to have a Rosalina on your team instead of Mario, I wouldn't really blame you. It's not a huge difference to have that 3 speed. What I'm seeing here is that Mario, because he is faster, deserves to be an S tier, but Rosalina doesn't, because those couple points in speed are probably going to matter. Now let's talk about the lad Toad. For the first time is going to reach an S tier spot. Like I said, anybody who is a speedy character is going to be in the S tier. The only exception is Mario, because he's the only character who's somewhat fast and able to score. But Toad, as you can see, has the perfect support stats. He's very fast. He has enough technique to get around. He's not useless on defense. He has 15 passing, so he can get the ball to his teammates and make cross passes happen from the wing. If you are playing a tournament that bans multiple Toads, then you probably will still see at least one on every team. And if you have a tournament that allows multiple Toads, I honestly don't see any problem with running 1 Peach captain and 3 Toads. I think that's a perfectly fine team. Now we've got Yoshi. Yoshi is also going to be in the A tier because he is pretty slow, much like Rosalina is, so it's not going to be in the S tier. But Yoshi does have very good passing, so that's important to have as a wing character because Yoshi can score from out far. Yoshi has very comparable shooting stats, almost the best in the game. And he also has 17 passing, so if he's playing a wing character, he can be deadly by shooting the ball, or he can be passing the ball to a teammate, which is also very important. Again, if you want to run multiple Yoshis, that could be possible. I wouldn't really blame you if you do run multiple Yoshis because they work well together in just passing the ball and shooting it. Even if you have one Yoshi, I think it's still good. Definitely not a B tier character. Much like, unfortunately, Donkey Kong, usually it's really hard to rank Donkey Kong, but in no gear mode, it's very clear that he just does not cut it because he has 16 points in strength, which is very, very bad. And also he's slow, and also he has high passing, which if you're going to have someone with high passing, you're going to choose Yoshi because not only is Yoshi 1 point faster, but Yoshi can also shoot, and DK just can't do that. You know, with 9 technique and 13 shooting, he's not going to put the ball in net. He is not going to put ball in net. Same kind of deal with Wario, very definitively in the B tier. A lot of you will say that Bowser and Wario have the same stats, but like I said when I was talking about Bowser, he's only up here because of his tackle. His tackle and his hitbox and stopping passes and playing defense is just good enough to be playable. Wario doesn't have that advantage. He's just slow, he just has high strength, he doesn't have as high shooting as Bowser. His passing is okay, and his technique kind of sucks, so he's not going to be shooting, he's not going to be passing well, he's not going to be fast, he has too much strength, just not a pick. In this case, I would say don't ever pick these characters if you're doing a no-gear tournament. I think that the B tier should probably just be named to don't use, because you're probably not going to be good if you stick one of these characters on. They just don't have the same strengths as they do when you can slap gear on them. Now for Waluigi, Waluigi is going to go in the S tier because he's just as good of a defensive player on no gear mode than he is with gear, because when everyone else is fairly slow, having 16 speed, which is almost perfect, is just enough. Now, in this case, Waluigi would be a pure defensive character. He doesn't pass well, he doesn't shoot well, but honestly, a lot of Waluigis are running like 4 passing and like 9 technique, so it's not like he cares about those stats anyway. You pick Waluigi for his speed and his strength, and he still has both of those, even if strength doesn't really matter as much. So Waluigi is still a very solid pick. Your defense is going to be much better with a Waluigi than if you have something like a Wario or even a Bowser. Now for Shy Guy. Shy Guy, being a well-balanced character, is going to go into A tier. I think that Shy Guy can have a use if you are playing sort of Mario Strikers charged mode where you have to choose sidekicks along with a captain. He's just a nice all-around character. He can do everything. He's not super slow. He has good technique. He has good passing. He can get the ball around. Strength doesn't really matter, but I guess, you know, he's not going to be a pushover. So, yeah, he's just good enough. How about that? He's just good enough for A tier. He's not completely useless like in Donkey Kong and Wario, so might as well be there. As for Daisy, I guess I'll put Daisy in the don't use category as well. I would put Daisy at the very top of it because I guess if you're going to use Luigi, you could probably get away with using Daisy as well. But the difference in strength isn't enough because strength doesn't really do anything. And the difference in technique doesn't do enough. It's basically just Luigi if Luigi had one more technique and one less passing. And there's really no difference here. It's just that Daisy is going to be slower. And I think I have to put Daisy here because if you look at any of the other people with 9 speed, such as Rosalina or Bowser, these are the only exceptions that can make it into the A tier while being super slow characters, just because Rosalina can shoot the ball really well, which leads to goals, and Bowser can tackle really well, which leads to turnovers. Daisy doesn't really do either of those. Daisy kind of sucks from shooting from far out just because of how they changed Boom Boom. And also, she's just slow now. You know, she has more points into strength, in which case you should use Luigi, and less points into passing, which is more important now. And also you use Luigi, so I don't think that Daisy is going to cut it either. I think that Daisy is going to be a little bit more playable than these two, but Daisy's still pretty bad. I need to add a special. So please fix the Death Lob tier. Alright, that's all I have for this tier list video. When it comes to no gear, I don't think there's any real notable tournaments that have happened because most people have been playing online with gear. But I'm kind of interested in how it turns out because I think the game is going to be a little bit more balanced and fun when you don't have such min-maxed characters running around. So I really hope that there's some kind of event somewhere that picks up strikers as a side event. I will support that 100%. Thank you guys for watching and have a nice day.